So today we have a few topics that Hank and I are going to cover. But you know what, Hank? Before we even get into more of what's going on in the economy, you and I were talking, and I just want to touch a few things you and I were talking about in reference to an acquisition that we looked at this morning or the last week or so. We won't use the name, of course, right, to hide the innocent, but we'll talk about the company. And
can I make in doing as we're talking about it, I can make the comparison about the apartment complex. I'll just mention the apartment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fair
I'm saying we can't say the company name because we signed NDA.
We'll just say it's an enterprise. We don't have to even talk about the type of business, just in case someone listens to this and hears. We don't even have to say that it's a foreign company,
right?
But it operates in two localities, and multiple localities.
Yeah. Two different countries. Yeah, two different countries. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
So
right. I'll follow your lead. Okay.
No, we're already live. You're good. So we're already live.
I didn't know I was live.
But hey, just for people who are wondering, as some of the analysts were looking over things like that, what popped out to you as being something that needed a closer look on that business?
Oh man, there were several things. I think we were on the surface, we were inundated with a lot of data, and we're being asked to respond in less than 24 hours on what it is that we found. And I go like, interesting. A very significant undertaking, and we can't be rushed in our due diligence process, because if we rush what we do, a couple of things could happen. One, we could overlook something, and if we do that, then we are creating a problem for both the buyer, the seller, and for ourselves, because the word will get out that, hey, these guys are wishy-washy. Okay, so that being said, I looked at what some of the analysts were doing, and I was trying to figure out there was no property, no real property. We are not able to determine any receivables or age receivables. It seems that the company was being used as a personal slush fund rather than a business enterprise. And it's as if almost every penny that comes in as income, which we can't verify, is being expended almost dollar for dollar, which caused me to go, So when we start to look at valuation, it's also as if this company is trying to use the last 3 months. And I love that. It's as if he's trying to use the last 3 months operational income to validate 3 years of operation. Where it appears that we need to make certain that the analysts understand how sometimes we have to be able to get into the weeds of something that they, one, may not be aware of, two, they've never seen, and we need to help them to understand that just because it's on paper doesn't mean it's real.
I love that, and that's a big thing. Just because it's on paper doesn't mean it's real. Just because the bank statements may say, in this example, this is true. Just because the bank statements may say $600,000 was brought in, like you mentioned. Well, $600,000 and $1 was taken out, and that was pretty consistent month after month. And if you think about it, there's no true margin there, not for that business.
Well, something else about the deposits. The deposits didn't seem to come in from a business entity, a true customer. The business, I mean, the income seemed to have come from seemingly like I've got a business, I've got personal accounts, I've got business accounts. So if I was putting the money in the personal account and then letting the personal account feed the business account, then there's no true representation as to the profitability of my business, because I could be fudging the records.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So no one would know. If they just look at the bank statement, then it will appear that I'm doing really, really great, and I'm just moving money back and forth between two accounts. And getting back to an earlier point, if I'm paying myself close to a quarter of a million a month.
A month, that's correct. That's what it was.
Okay.
Well, over that actually, but yes.
Well, yeah, okay. If I'm paying myself $250,000 a month, but I ain't bad English, I ain't got no money in the corporate account, and everything that's on the bank statement seems to be living expenses for me, okay, then that to me as an outsider, that causes me to want to scratch and sniff a little bit more to say, why is that? What am I missing? And I'm hoping that we are helping the analysts to understand that something is missing, but we don't know what yet.
And then also,
plus, as I look at the photos of supposed locations of where this business is doing business, it's supposed to be current photos, right? Didn't see any people. Everything is just sort of like pristine, as if someone went in on the weekend. Now, hang on. Now, I'm gonna say this, but I'm gonna have to rewind. Okay. As if someone went in on the weekend after the cleaning crew had come in and took pictures of everything, right?
Yeah.
But the type of operation is a 24-hour operation. So you would expect to see what?
People.
Somewhere. Some people, would you get some people sometime?
At least.
Yeah, right, at least. And I think one location, as we look at as we looked at it from Google on the Google map, and we were trying to get a 360 picture or panoramic view of the location, on the surface, one looked like it was just a vacant lot someplace.
It disappeared.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't want to be hasty, nor do I want to jaundice the views of the analysts. I want to make certain that they are doing their due diligence. But what I wanted to do, again, for my own edification, was most on the surface, this company does business for 10, 15, 20 different companies, of which there are contracts signed.
Yeah. B2B services, yeah.
What I found interesting was that there was a date that it was signed, and it gave a certain amount of specificity to the service, what the fee for the service was going to be. It didn't give any estimated value for the contract. And I saw language that says this contract could be broken, for lack of a better term, within 30 days with a 14-day written notification.
Which, as you and I were talking earlier, even if it was real estate, the strength would be in the leases, right? The
Correct.
Commitments.
Or if you were buying a building, it will be based on the leases, okay, of the tenants. You know, so I think this will be a very, very good example for the analysts to chew on.
And not just the analyst by itself, but just from a client perspective, because a lot of times people see a business and they're like, oh my goodness, someone's selling this business for $25 million. It's obviously worth that. And what's so weird to me is whenever people are telling me about certain acquisitions or potential acquisitions, and they mention a purchase price, automatically that most of them think, well, if someone's selling it for 25 million, obviously it has to be worth at least 30 million. And that's not the case.
No, absolutely not. Or if the business had a growth, and you can see a percentage growth in absolutes year after year after year, with expenses staying relatively consistent with the growth of the company, then, and if some other things are in place, you can then theoretically project that in a year or 2 years or 5 years, everything else being equal, this business will appreciate. So then we'd have to look at what might be the appreciated or the overall increased value from where it is today to where it might be somewhere down the road. But if you can't figure some of that stuff out, you can't. I mean, for me, with a contract that can be severed in less than 60 days, how much trust can you put on a contract that could be gone in 60 days?
There's none. And then there's really no value in the company too, because what most people don't understand is even with acquisitions, accounts receivables or contracts are still considered assets. And what I didn't like about that company is that they essentially had no assets.
And because it's a service fee for service, or service for a fee, it would have been nice to see what their budget projections would be for next year, just based on what they see as the overall business operations, the ebbs and flows. It would be interesting, but you can't do it on 3 months, Leland. You can't, you'd be crazy.
No forecast there.
No, let me put it this way. If people are willing to buy a business based on 3-month evaluation, hey, come here. We'll find a lot of those business for you, as long as you don't, as long as you don't come back and try to get to us if you want to be that gullible.
It's true. And so it's important to have due diligence. And something that's always a red flag to me is whenever someone opens up and says, hey, I want to sell my business, I want to sell my investment property, and then they try to put you into a time crunch for due diligence in hopes to make a bidding war. That's when I know that there's a problem. Well,
but it's not just the person who's selling. The potential buyer also seems to be contacting us every day, a couple times a day, wanting to know the status of XYZ. So I'm in my mind, over the years, I have become to be somewhat of a skeptic, or maybe a cautious individual. I don't know. You can put whatever label you want on.
Cynical.
But the point is, someone wants us to rush to let them know that this is a good deal. Go out and find an investor, okay, to make this deal happen, and the seller and the buyer will be happy. The investor and the private banking company, investment banking company, is going to be left scratching his head and looking at each other. Okay.
Yep. So there's a good point there. There's a book that it was called "Where's My Cheese?" Right?
Like, oh yeah.
Where's my money?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But there was in the accounting world, or in the business world, I don't know whether you've heard the expression, and it says that figures lie and liars figure.
Yes.
So again, plus my dad used to say, son, if something looks too good, you need to watch yourself. Now, I've heard it said other ways, but my father was an uneducated man, but brilliant. Because we say if it looks too good to be true,
it is.
Yes, right. So, but it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm enjoying peeling back layers of the onion to make certain that it is an onion, because what I learned about onions is this, particularly the big ones, and it doesn't have to be a Vidalia. Most onions, the closer you get to the core, the sweeter it is. Okay. So as we do the analysis and evaluation of this company, hopefully we will find a point where we can say with a certain degree of affirmation and assurance that, hey, this is or this is not a deal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Hank, but as we're wrapping up, do you want to share your thoughts on some of these article titles real quick? We're going to start first about what's been hitting the news when it comes to appraisals.
Oh, this one, the idea of appraisals was stunning to me, but yet by the same token, it was not surprising. Only because people of color are constantly being hoodwinked and bamboozled. Now, there are those who will hear this and they go like, oh man, he shouldn't be saying stuff like that. What do you call it when people are constantly being manipulated, being lied to, being undermined, being minimalized, or things of that sort? What do you call it? So when you're going to go out and you're going to buy an asset that's $500,000, and you're paying someone to go, and you're paying a professional,
a licensed
professional, as the seller, to say, hey, listen, based on some comps, some comparisons in a vicinity, normally it might be a mile, it might be further than that. It just depends on what they want to call comparables. They come back and let you know that your house is worth, say they're saying that your house is worth 400, and the comps that they're giving you is for property that's nowhere near your neighborhood. It's not really near comps. The comps that they look at is that it's a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom or 2-car garage and this yada 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 yada, and it might have a decent roof, or it might be stuck over as brick. They do that. But Leland, I think you agree that An apple
is an apple.
Not necessarily, well, it may not necessarily be because there are multiple different types of apples, and some apples will cost you $3 a pound, and some will cost you 99 cents a pound. Well, you can't give me a 99-cent apple and tell me it's a 3.99 cents apple, or if it's a 3.99, or you can't give me a 3.99 apple and then make me think that you only paid 99 cents for it. It may not make sense, but I'm just saying that it's pathetic. I think it's disgraceful. I think it's dishonest, and I think it's almost criminal.
Honestly, when you think about it, it really is criminal. Not only because, but a primary reason. The average person, their wealth is normally in their house.
Correct.
And so when you're basically cutting that person's wealth or net worth, you're minimizing it based off of, I guess you can say, their skin color. No, I'm saying, yeah. So
and so why here's what runs in my head is, why would someone do that? What is a rationale for not being professional? Is it the mortgage company making this mistake? Is it the bank making this mistake? Is it the realtor making this mistake? Because you have to have an appraisal. So the question to me is, what is the racket between the appraisers? Because I would love, as the seller, to bring my buddy in who's a certified appraiser with all of the numbers, but they won't let me use you as my appraiser. I got to find somebody else that I've never met who's going to come in and tell me the value of my house.
Yeah. Being in lending, I can tell you that it has more to do with the lender. They won't tell you that, but it has more to do with the lender on those appraisals.
But is the lender telling the appraiser to go out and do a shoddy appraisal?
Yeah. So I mean, they're not going to say that, but yeah, that's basically what's happening. The lender, because normally the lender chooses the appraiser, but you pay the appraiser, right? But the lender chooses. It's the lender's choice, and the lender is going to say to the appraiser, "Hey, we're expecting this to be around this range."
Interesting.
That's what happens. That is truly what happens.
I'm scratching my head, and this might be a leap. Then that tells me that some of the lending entities are in cahoots with the appraisers. But if the lender is saying, Leland, I want this, I'm looking for this house to come in at this range. Is it a range based on what the seller's realtor is coming up with? Because
no, it's really a range based on the lender's comfort level with the borrower. And unfortunately, what happens a lot of times is that the lenders themselves have their own criteria using statistical data from all kinds of crap, all kinds of stuff, right? That would say things such as, okay, this person at one point lived in this type of zip code, and statistically, the people that come from that type of zip code have this issue with paying a bill on time. That's more of what it has to deal with than actually just the appraiser wanting it to be bad or wanting it to be low.
Well, you know what? I was reading a similar article, and it dawned on me, and it just hit me. It dawned on me that appraiser would come into the home, and if he or she saw something that was ethnocentric, that immediately caused the house to be devalued. So what I'm saying, and I was talking to my wife about this, I said, baby, I said, when we get ready to move out, we're going to go out and we're going to take down all of our we're going to leave up the nice artwork, but we're going to find some pictures that are either nature scenes, or we're going to put up pictures of white, you hear me? I said it, white families, or something that represents the white population of the neighborhood, and we be nowhere around when they come to take a look at it. Even moving some of the furniture out and get a company to stage, only because I want to stack the deck in our favor, rather than, no matter what I do, making certain that the lawn is cut every week, that this is done and this is done and all this other stuff, and have all of the utilities under contract and all of this, everything is under contract. And what it's saying is, no matter what I do, there is the possibility that someone could come in and devalue my home by 10% on a whim.
Yeah.
Or 10% or more on a whim.
And let me say this as we wrap up real quick, only because we're getting close to time. Appraisals are meant to be comparables only on houses. Okay, they're not meant to be comparables on living quality, living quarters. Less like a hole in the roof, stuff like that. But it's just it's convincing the location and similar specs, maybe square footage and bed and bath, things like that. It's not meant to be about who's the actual owner. If and when that's done, obviously that's wrong. So,
but how do you know? But how would you know? That's the criminal piece. You won't know.
I agree. Well, that's not exactly true. If you live in a cookie that where every house is exactly the same, right? Exact same, whatever else. And if your neighbor gets an appraisal and you get and you guys have the exact same house built in the exact same year, right? That's it. Then at that point, there is no explanation for the value to be different, and if it's the same condition, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason that the value should be different.
I just thought of something.
Yeah.
What if, even though the lender sends out Hank Hunt as the appraiser for your property, is there anything that keeps you from getting your own independent appraiser? And might there be some negotiation on the actual value based on your guy doing the appraisal versus the lender's person doing the appraisal? Is that something that happens in the industry?
You can have your own appraisal. I've done it before, where you're an appraiser, you want to get someone else. You can also have a broker opinion, a BPO. But when those prices have a differential, you would then have to basically build a case on why.
Okay. You still there?
The appraiser that the lender used came in less. It's still up to their. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah,
I hit the wrong button.
Okay.
Yeah. So just real quick, you can get your own appraisal.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
so
I won't beat that one to death, but it
yeah,
definitely hit a
you
nerve
can.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. That was good. That was fun. I got emotional. I apologize, people, but you know, I remember the movie Color Purple when Whoopi's character says, "All my life I had to fight." So I'm not a fighter. That's all right.